Okay, so I'm back with another elimination video. So you will notice that this problem that I'm about to do, you're going to see on your Google form assignment. So if you're watching this video, you're going to be able to make sure you get at least one answer completely correct. So when you see this on the Google form, it's written like this. The reason why I wrote it like this on the Google form is because it won't let me stack them on the Google form. So we talked about yesterday that we want to make sure that when we start out that our equations are stacked on top of each other and that the x's go with the x's, the y's go with the y's, and the regular numbers go with regular numbers. So I'm going to rewrite this and I'm going to stack my equations like we've been seeing on our notes and on our assignment yesterday. Then, remember we talked about how we're looking for variables that have the same number in front of them. We call that a coefficient, but with a different sign. So if I look at my x's, I have a 9, I have a negative 9. If I look at my y's, I have a negative 3, and I have an 8. When I compare these, it looks like the x's are the ones that have the same number but with different signs. So I'm going to put my box around that to remind myself that that's where my elimination is going to happen. It's not always going to be the x's where it happens. It could be the y's. It doesn't matter either way. So since the x's are already set up for elimination to happen, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my plus signs to remind myself that I am adding. So as I start to do this, I'm going to start with my x's, and I am going to add 9x plus negative 9. Well, we talked yesterday that 9x plus negative 9 is always going to give me a 0. I don't need to write that down. I'm just going to mark it out. I'm going to move over to my y's. When I add my y's, I'm going to have negative 3y plus 8y. Well, that's going to give me positive 5y. Again, if you're not good with your calculator, if you're not good with your negatives, use your calculator. Then I'm going to add negative 42 plus 22. Since the 42 is bigger, I'm going to end up with negative 20. From here, we're still trying to get the y by itself. I'm trying to figure out what my y value is. To make that happen, I have to use my opposite operation. Well, 5 and y being together is multiply. So to get rid of the 5, or so that I can have y by itself, I'm going to divide both sides by 5. When I divide both sides by 5, negative 20 divided by 5 is negative 4. And then over here, the y's just cancel each other out. So my y value is negative 4. After that, I need to now go back to my two original equations, and I need to decide which of the two I want to use to find out what my x value is. It doesn't matter which one I use. I try to avoid negatives. Neither one of them are super pretty. I think I'm actually going to use this one right here. But if you want to use the top one, you could do that as well. I'm going to rewrite the equation that I'm using over to the side. The only reason I'm rewriting it is just to keep myself organized and make sure I don't make any mistakes. Sometimes if we don't rewrite and stay organized, we make silly mistakes. I know what my y value is. So when I rewrite this equation, I'm going to rewrite everything exactly how I see it. The only difference is instead of a y, I'm going to put my negative 4 here. So here I go. I'm going to say negative 9x plus 8. I'm putting parentheses here and putting my negative 4 in the parentheses. I'm doing that to remind myself that I need to multiply. It's not addition, it's multiplication. So as I'm multiplying, I am going to start here to multiply, and I'm going to end up with negative 32. So I'm rewriting everything, and I'm going to say negative 32 here equals 22. The reason why it's negative 32 is this is a negative number, and when I multiply them together, that's going to give me negative 32. At this point in your life, hopefully you're saying, I know what's going to happen. Now we're going to do a t-chart. So here's my t-chart. I'm going to say plus 32 because I want to move 32 to the other side first because my goal is to figure out what x is. When I add 32, it's going to eliminate on the left. They're going to cancel each other out. And then I'm going to have 54 over here. I'm going to bring down, make sure you remember it's a negative 9x. And then I'm just doing my t-chart work. I'm still trying to figure out x. I have a negative 9 times x, so to get rid of that negative 9, I'm going to divide. Again, this is just basic t-charts that we've been doing since the very beginning of the year. I told you that they were important and they never go away. So I'm going to now divide 54 divided by negative 9. Be careful, use your calculator. You don't want to mess anything up. 54 divided by negative 9 is going to give me negative 6. So I figured out my y value. I figured out my x value. Now I have to write it as an ordered pair. Remember, ordered pairs always go in the order x, y. So I'm going to write my x value first, which is negative 6. I'm going to write my y value second, which was negative 4, and then this is my answer. Remember, we're going to say that this is our solution, and since we found 1 point, this is one solution, and this is where the two lines would cross if we were to graph them. So this video, along with the other video, should help you figure out how to solve your equations using elimination. Keep trying and keep practicing, and remember on your Google form, if you make mistakes, you can always go back and change them, redo the problems, reshow your work, and then change your answer to get a better score.